So we'll go ahead and get started. We may have some others joining us here, hopefully in a few minutes, but welcome to today's PowerTeacher and PowerTeacher Pro training. We have a lot of district leaders that signed up and not as many teachers, and that's okay. This is good information for everyone to know. As teachers come back and have questions, they may be asking the district leaders. So we're glad to see everyone here today. We will post this onto our YouTube channel. So if your teachers are returning later in a week or in 2 weeks, this new recording will be up there for them to view. A lot of our districts have mentor teachers or team teachers. So when you're onboarding new teachers, those teachers have a go-to person. They have that mentor that kind of helps them with all things teaching related, whether it be in their department, their grade level, but specifically with PowerTeacher, with the portal and PowerTeacher Pro. So if that is not something that your district has, it may be a conversation that you want to have, that you may want to start. We found that's very successful for the districts, again, particularly with those teacher user groups as they meet as teachers frequently for different reasons. This is a good time to have somebody that could be that go-to person for PowerTeacher. But having said that, we'll go ahead. I'm going to turn off my camera and I'm going to share my screen. This is an interactive training like all of our trainings are. So please feel free, as you have questions, you can put them in the chat and we will answer those, or you can unmute yourself and ask. Sorry, I neglected to introduce myself. I'm Sally Ruddick. I'm one of the members of the PowerSchool team here. We also have with us Linda Yoder, Christine Cartwright, and Chris Townsend. So all of us from the Meta PowerSchool team, we're glad to be here and talk with you about PowerTeacher. So again, I'm going to share my screen. All right, so we're going to take a look right at the beginning, the sign-in page. So this is the sign-in page for the teacher portal, similar obviously to the other portals. The teachers can have a custom sign-in message you see here that is set up within your admin portal. So if there are things that you want your teachers, again, these are just little notes, just custom sign-in messages. These differ from the daily bulletins. We'll show you what that is. But again, it's just a simple message that you could, admin could put on the sign-in page for the teacher user group. If your district uses single sign-on, you know that your teachers would not see this sign-in message. They would, when they log into their Google or Microsoft accounts and they access PowerTeacher, they would be directly admitted into PowerTeacher. So this sign-in message, again, would only be for those districts not using single sign-on. But additionally, you can have your district logo on here and your teachers would sign in. Once they sign in, this is the home page. This is the start page of the teacher portal. On this page, you'll see the PowerSchool SIS logo. This is always your home or your start button for what we call it. When you click on it, it always takes you back to this page here. So as we navigate around to different pages and show you different things here in the teacher portal, you'll notice you can always click on this PowerSchool SIS logo in the upper left-hand corner, which will return you back to your start page. Let's talk about, we're here on the blue navigation bar, so let's just go all the way over here to the right and take a look at some of these icons and things that we'll see here. The first is the little bell icon, and you can, any of these icons, as you hover over them, like I'm hovering, you can see what they are. So this is our notifications icon, and notifications and tasks are fairly new within PowerSchool. Last school year, I believe, is when PowerSchool introduced notifications and tasks, and since then they've been enhancing them. Notifications are set up in the admin portal. You can set up notifications for different things within your district, such as a grade change. When a student's grade has been changed, You can, an alert, specifically a medical alert when there's a new alert or a change in an alert. Enrollment, like a course enrollment, a student has been enrolled in a course. All of these things your admin staff would set up. And in that setup, there's an option to notify the teachers of those students. So if you have notifications set up and they are sent to the teachers for specific things, the teachers would see this notification icon, and you can see I have the 3 number badge letting me know I have 3 notifications. When I click on that, I can see this blue dot letting me know those 3 notifications that I have that are new that I can look at. And again, these are set up on your in the admin portal, and you can click on them for additional information. So we can see a student had a grade change. This was the percent that changed. This was the letter that changed, an alert that changed. So again, all of those things that you want your teachers to be notified about, that is what it would look like for them. And once they open and acknowledge those notifications, you see that number has disappeared. Clicking on them, we still see them here, and you can take a look at the actions with those notifications. Once they read it, they can delete it, or they can mark it as important or even unread. So those are the teacher preferences within the portal once they open those notifications. Our next item on our blue navigation bar here is, again, you hover over it, it's your system alerts. If you click on this, a pop-up appears just letting you know if you had a failed sign-in attempt, it would list it here. It would say failed sign-in attempt on January 28th. It would give you the information. Sometimes entering and, logging in, sometimes their fingers typing faster than they're supposed to, and you type in the wrong password. This would let you know your security information. If there was an invalid attempt to log in, you would see a number badge on the icon, the system alert icon here, just like we saw on the notification badge. So again, it's just letting that teacher know that there was an attempt. If the teacher did not attempt logging in and they see that someone did try to log in that was not them, that would probably be something to let the district admin know so that they're aware that there was an attempt made to log into their account. The next icon is your report queue icon. This is important to note with this icon. When teachers log in, especially new teachers logging in, they will not see this report queue icon. This icon does not appear until the teacher runs a report. Once the teacher runs the report, that's when this icon will appear. This is, it's the report queue, so it's going to show you the reports. When you click on it, it'll take you to those reports that you have run. So again, with those new teachers, they're not going to see that icon until they get into PowerTeacher and they start running some reports. That's when they'll see that icon appear that they can click on. It takes them to their reports that they've run. You can see that you can click on view to view the reports. You can click on the name of the report if you want to rerun it. We ran these yesterday, so if we wanted to rerun them today, we could click on that, take us back in there to rerun it. And then also here on the right-hand side is a trash can. So if we were done with the report, we can just click on the trash can to delete it. The report queue, it will show the reports that you have been run, but I believe it's after 90 days, these will automatically delete. So you can manually do that, or they will drop off after time. All right, back. Again, we said, click on your PowerSchool Sis, takes you back to your home page here. We have our print icon. This is a print this page. So a print option appears, you click on it, it's going to, whatever page you're on, it's going to print that page just like so. And you can use this for various purposes on different pages that the teacher needs. But again, it's just printing that. It's not a report, it's printing that specific page that you're on. Next is our help icon. Lots of good things here. So you click on help. And you'll see the drop down. There's system help and meta documentation. If you click on system help, just like in the admin portal, it'll take you to the PowerSchool's help. This is specific to the PowerSchool PowerTeacher and giving you information that would be related to the teacher portal or the teacher gradebook, PowerTeacher Pro. You can see the left navigation menu for lots of different items within the teacher portal. You can see the filter here. You can search for certain items. As you start to type and search, it'll filter out your searches here, what you're looking for. What's nice on the home page with the teacher help, you can see there's some recent topics they'll have links to. So this is something that's fairly new that PowerSchool is introducing and rolling out, observation and referrals. But you can see hot topics. So hot topics, those are the most commonly asked or frequently asked questions, your FAQs. They're listed here. But over here on the right-hand side, this is very helpful. This is the school year cycle topics. So it kind of breaks out the start of the year, during the year, and the end of year. Those topics that might be applicable for your teachers, kind of broken out into those time frames. And then there's also at the bottom, there's the additional help and support. They can go to PowerSchool Community to see articles and knowledge-based items there in Community for any questions that they may have. And again, with this left navigation menu, you can click on topics to see more information. So that's PowerSchool's help, system help within the help drop down within the icon. Meta documentation. So if you open that, you'll notice with both of the help items, they do open in new tabs. So you still have your PowerTeacher portal here. But with meta documentation, this takes you to our documentation repository. All of our documentation and training materials for the districts and district users are here in our documentation site. You can search using the filter. You can search typing in a specific topic. You can also, within the filters, you can look for specific subjects. So again, depending on what teachers maybe are needing, maybe they need some information on grading. Again, a lot of this might be for the admin portal. Some of it would be for the teacher portal, again, depending on what they're looking for, but you can use those as the filter and the sorting as well. Additionally, on on our help site here, you'll notice at the top, I can't scroll, looks like we have a little display issue, but you'll notice if you can see right here, I'm going to hover over it, there's a link to our YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel has all of our recorded trainings and meetings that we have for the districts. We do some of these trainings like today each year. So we have last year's training that's available and on our YouTube channel now. We'll update that with this year's video afterwards, but it's a good resource to know how to access that. If you click on it, it'll open in a new tab and you can search videos. Again, super helpful resource for what you're needing information on. But those are both within our help icon. And lastly, you'll see the initials. So this is your manage profile or your profile. And when you click on it, you have options here. The first one is manage profile. So this is specific to the teacher. It's going to give the teacher details here, letting you know username, the name of the teacher, all of that detailed information up here. This information, all of these details are pulling from what was set up in the admin portal. So when the teacher account was created and assigned, they're given an ID, their email address entered, all of that again is pulling from that staff teacher record within the admin portal. The default log type, so this says exactly here, it sets the default log type when creating a new log entry. So if a teacher is entering a log entry within the teacher portal, you can set that default log type. Some districts use different log types for things other than discipline. We know here in Ohio, that's log entries is used for discipline. For state reporting, but some districts have logs for other reasons. They have maybe attendance logs or parent contact logs or just calendar logs, anything that you want to, make a note of, create an entry for if you, again, a teacher, an example of parent contact, if you had parent contact logs and you wanted the teachers to record that they had a contact with a parent, that would be something that could be set up as a log entry. And the teacher can set that as their default. If they want to always see parent contact when they enter a log entry, they could do that. Or if they always want to see discipline, they could set discipline as their log entry type. Next, sign in password. So again, this is if the teacher needs to change their password, they can click on that link to update their sign in password. And again, this manage profile, this is for this specific teacher. So this is specific to each teacher. They can set these up, configure these, make it personalized for them, what they want. And this is for this next option, your application preferences, the first thing, the initial student screen. So as we go into the different pages within the teacher portal, you will see when we go to the student pages, the teacher can set which page they want to see when they come to those student pages. If they want to always have the quick lookup page loaded when they access that student information, that's what they can set it. Maybe they want to have demographics. Again, per teacher, I could have it on quick lookup and Christine could have it on test results, and Linda could have hers on log entry. Again, this is personalized. Each teacher could have it different, what they want to see. And you'll see when we go to the teacher, those student pages within the teacher portal, as you click on, there'll be different options as you click on first name versus last name, and we'll show you all of those. But again, just making their preference what they want to see. Receiving automatic emails for pending notifications. So this is a toggle yes or no. Does the teacher want to receive those emails? This next one, displaying the section number on the PowerTeacher homepage. So if I go back real quick here, again, we're going to click our logo, take us back. You'll see section number listed here on our start page. Within our user profile settings, we can select to have that section number not displayed. Currently it's on yes, but we could say no, we don't want the section number on there. This is important to note. If you change this setting, you would have to log out and then back in to see that change take place. There are things sometimes within PowerSchool, you change them and it's an instant change. You see it. Some things require a log out and a log back in. And this is one of those that you would have to log out and back in to see that change. And then your custom class name preference. This is showing you, do you want to see those on your start page, showing those custom class names? And I think the setup will take place within the gradebook when Linda's talking about that. But do you want to see those custom names on your start page? You could select yes or no. The custom names, the custom class names, those come in, we see those a lot with, for example, your specials teachers, and maybe you're an art teacher and you have 15 art classes. And so on your start page, you see art, or in our case, we have lots of speeches listed here. And you see those a lot. Maybe you want to be more specific. You want to have a custom name and you want to maybe put Art-Smith because it's Smith's class, or Art-Jones for Jones class, or ABC, or, again, there's different naming conventions that you could use, but that would show, you could set those custom names up and then in the grade book, and then those would be displayed on the PowerTeacher start page. The teacher could select that. So as the teacher makes those selections, they would click submit to save any changes that they've made, and then they go back and they'll be back here at the manage profile, and to go back to that start page and click on that PowerSchool logo. So that is within manage profile. My tasks. So my tasks, that is, again, we mentioned notifications and tasks was fairly new within PowerTeacher or within PowerSchool. So that is something that tasks. So the notifications that we saw earlier, we saw some grade changes, we saw a medical alert. When the admin create those notifications, they can also add, if they would like, they can add a task to that notification. So for example, with the grade change, if you not only want to notify the teacher that the grade has been changed, but you want to assign the teacher a task to verify that grade change, you could assign them a task, and the teacher sees those tasks have possibly been shared with other teachers, other maybe principals, admin, counselors. Again, this is all of that set up on the admin side with that notification, how that task is. So you can see those tasks listed here. It's giving you the name of the task, a brief description, again, showing who it's assigned to, if there's a due date associated with it, and then what's the status. So you can see we have some that have not started, some that are in progress, and then others that are completed. In our actions column, we can click on the ellipsis, and we can, if it's a shared task, we can assign it to ourselves, and that would remove the others. There would be an error. Again, if this is an admin created task, the teachers would not be able to take it away from, again, for example, if it's shared with a principal or a counselor group, they wouldn't necessarily be able to take that away. So it depends on who the task is shared with. But on your other items, you can, if it is a task maybe that the teacher put in themselves, they can edit the task, open that slide out to make any edits. Maybe this is their lesson plan task and they need to submit the lesson plans to the curriculum director. Maybe now it's in progress. Maybe the teacher is working on that. And they can set them reminders for themselves on tasks as well for personal tasks, and admin can set reminders on those shared tasks as well. So you can see that. They can, again, create tasks. These tasks that are shared, these are things, again, that was set up from those notifications, but teachers can create their own personal task list. They simply create task, click that create task. They give it a name, a description, a due date, your status, and then if they want any reminders. So this is nice with the tasks. The completed ones, you'll see that they're still listed here as completed. So they do show as completed until the school year is over. At that point, they'll become archived and would move to the archived tasks. So there isn't a way to delete the tasks. They become archived. You may have heard this, district leaders, PowerSchool doesn't like the deletion of things. So they don't like to delete things. They like to archive things. So after the school year, those tasks are then archived. And with the tasks, there's some filtering options here. You can, the teacher can filter them. Maybe they want to see, I want to see all of the items, all of the tasks that I haven't started yet. They can take a look at those and address those as needed. And so a nice option to kind of look and see what their tasks are. All right, so that's the sign-in page and the blue navigation bar. Any questions so far? Any? No? Okay, we'll keep moving along. Right underneath the blue navigation bar here on our right-hand side, we see our school switcher and our term switcher. So our school switcher, if we click on that, we are going to see the schools that this teacher that I'm assigned to. So I am assigned to Apple Grove High School, so I see Apple Grove High School. If I were assigned multiple buildings, I would see those buildings. If I taught in multiple buildings, I would see those listed here in the school switcher. The term switcher. So you can see this is grayed out. It is being displayed, but it is not an option that teachers can change. So on the admin side, there is a setting where they choose what is being displayed in the teacher portal. A lot of districts use full year, which is what we see here, 24-25. I'm going to hop back to our start page and show you how this applies. But you see when it's full year, we can see all of my courses that I am teaching. I see my year-long courses, my semester 1 courses, semester 2, quarters. I see all of that listed here. If on the admin side that they choose to maybe show just the semesters or even the quarters, your start page display would be updated accordingly. So if we were only showing semesters and this was semester 2, I wouldn't see semester 1 courses anymore. I would only see those semesters. So this display, this term listed here affects the display of the courses here for the teachers. You still see all of the terms in the grade book. So this, again, we're talking just the teacher portal here. Within the grade book, the teachers would still be able to access, again, like that semester 1 example, they would still be able to access that. If, again, depending on what has been locked within the grade book, but this is specific to the teacher portal, what's being displayed here. Right underneath our year switcher, we see a gear icon. So we can see all of our courses that we're assigned to teach for this year listed here. Maybe we want to reorganize those differently. If we click on the gear option, we see we have a sort order arrows here. We can move as we need to. So maybe I want, this family consumer science class to move down to the bottom. I can click on that arrow. It does move one at a time, so you do have to click it a couple of times to move things how you want it. But you can reorder it as you would like. Once you have it how you like it, you can close and it will save those changes that you've made. If you're sorting, click on that gear icon and you're moving items around and you don't like, no, I don't like that, you can always reset the sort, taking it back to what it was. So those are just, again, some visual options per teacher, how they want to take a look at those courses. All right, now we're going to go from the right side over here to our left side. So we already talked about the logo here, taking us back to our start page. We have our left navigation text links here. These are going to take us to different pages within the teacher portal. The first one is PowerTeacher Pro. If we click on that, that is taking us to the PowerTeacher Pro gradebook. What we want to note here with the gradebook is if you click on Students, and then you scroll to the bottom, there is a PowerTeacher portal link, and there's a little box with an arrow. If I click on the link, it's going to take me to the PowerTeacher portal, but you'll notice it opens up in a new window. So now I have my portal in this tab, and in my first tab, I have the gradebook. So sometimes teachers, maybe your high school or your middle school teachers, they have different classes that they meet with each period. And so maybe they're entering grades for period 1 in the grade book and the bell rings and period 2 class comes in and they need to, she needs to take attendance. She can click over to this tab, take the attendance real quick, and then come back to her gradebook tab to finish entering those grades. So it is nice sometimes for different situations to have those tabs open between the gradebook and the portal. Close that. But again, that's their link to their gradebook. Next is start page. So again, within PowerSchool, there is sometimes more than one way to get somewhere. So we've been clicking on the logo here in the left corner. You can also click on the start page. So if we are on another, let me go, that's a different example. So if we're on another page and we want to go back to that start page, we can click. That takes us back as well. The daily bulletin. The daily bulletin is set up on the admin side. When the teachers click on it, they see this pop-up that has a bulletin message specific to the teachers or the students. Again, that's set up on the admin side. They'll see the information listed here. And you can see that it is going to default and show us today's date. If we wanted to see something maybe from last week or in the future, we can always go back, click on that calendar icon, pick the day we want to see what the bulletin was for a previous day. We could see that. We could see maybe this was the day the teachers came back. So that's nice with daily bulletin. Again, set up on the admin side, any messages, bulletin items, parent-teacher conferences, back-to-school forms are due, different things that we've seen bulletin items created that the teachers can access and see. The next one is schedule. So this is right now with your teachers is they come in, especially maybe the not the high school, middle schooler that use Power Scheduler, but maybe your elementary schools. If you're coming into a teacher account and looking at schedule, this may not be finalized. Maybe they're finishing some live side scheduling items still. That may still be the case. But when the teacher comes in to schedule, they're going to see this list. You can see the matrix view of the courses that the teacher is teaching. There is some filtering options right here at the top. You can see co-teacher sections. It's showing any courses where you're co-teaching with another teacher. You can slide to turn that off and only see the courses that you are that specific teacher is teaching. Again, you can slide it to see those co-teaching courses. You can also only display current sections. So if you're only wanting to display, again, as it says, your current sections that you're teaching, or if you want to see all the years, the past sections as well, you can slide that off to see. And again, this schedule, it's telling you I'm in Apple Grove High School, so I'm seeing those sections for my current school only. If I taught at different schools, I could select the middle school, and then I would see my schedule of courses for the middle school specifically. So this is by building level. So if you have teachers teaching in multiple buildings, they would need to switch buildings through their building switcher here to see their different schedules. All right, the next item is the staff directory. So the staff directory, this page displays the staff and it lists any associated information based on the school that, again, the school we're in, the term we're in. You can use this to obtain, email addresses as needed if you needed to email staff for different reasons. Again, this information is going to pull from your admin portal. So how your staff and teachers are entered in the admin portal, that's what information is being displayed, like your room number, your email, phone number, school number, all of that on that staff record. You have some filtering options here. Maybe we just wanted to see the teachers. We could click on teachers and see them. Or if we just wanted to see substitute, we could do that if we had some. Lunch staff. And you can see, this is a smaller group. There's a box here at the bottom of the pages. If I click on staff, I have all of the staff. And if I scroll to the bottom, here is where I could send a group email. It tells you you're going to highlight everything within this box, you're going to copy it, and then you're going to paste it into your email that you use to send an email to all of the staff. So that's an option there. If you wanted to individually email just one staff member, you can click on that. You're going to have a pop-up depending on your browser to let you select your email and then send it as needed. All right, the next link is Student Directory. So this is a customization. So some of the things that we look at and we talk about within the PowerTeacher portal and the gradebook are customizations. We find them useful and helpful and that the teachers like them. So we kind of showcase them here in our training. So if there is one that you happen to see that we discussed today that your teachers don't see and you would like to have it, you can submit a ticket to us and we can help get that information to you with that customization. But Student Directory is a customization. Again, it's only going to be seen if your district has that turned on, but you're going to see all of your students listed here, and you can see the information that it's displaying, just their grade, their name, grade level, gender, and then over here, my student. So it's letting you know if it is your student. If your district had it set up that you could view all students within the district, you would see that it would say no here. So again, there is, with this customization, the admin can customize it what the teachers are seeing. If they want the teachers to only see information from the students that are in their classes, or do they want them to see students from the entire district. Additionally, they can set up what information they're wanting them to see for these students. So you can see links to demographics. So it would be the student's demographic information, the year schedule with grades, a week schedule. There's a Find Me. Find Me is nice. It'll let you know where a student is at this current time at 9:41. Your student is, I should say, where they're supposed to be, where we hope that they are at this time at 9:41. We hope that they're in this class. And that's nice with the Find Me. And we can click on these others as well. The demographics pop up, again, showing that demographic information as recorded for that student. And we're in a trained database, so we do have all scrambled data. The schedule with grades, again, there's some options. The year schedule with grades, maybe the admin wants you to be able, the teachers to be able to see the year schedule, maybe not the grades. Again, that could be customized within the admin portal what the teachers are seeing. But you can see for this particular student, you can see all of their year-long courses and any associated grades that have been stored. The schedule for the week, so that matrix view for that student, what their schedule is. And then we looked at the Find Me. And additionally, there is a medical alert. For those students who have medical alerts, you'll see that in red, and it will pop up and show you the medical alert information. I will say in the spring, there was an update to this customization. There was an issue with the medical alert not always displaying. One of the districts let us know, so we update the developer of this customization. It was not Meta, but we did update them. They updated the plugin, so now you can see that that has been corrected. So maybe for those district leaders who are on this call, if this is a customization that you use, you might want to visit your community plugins page to make sure you have the newest version of this student directory plugin customization. If you're not sure, submit a ticket to us. We can help you make sure you have the up-to-date version, because that medical alert, that is something, again, allergic to bee stings, that could be potentially something, you want your teachers to be aware when they're out at recess or things like that. So we want to make sure that those are displaying as they should. And within this student directory, again, there's some filter option. A lot of the pages here, when you're working with the students, you can see filtering options to view as needed. You can always type in, your basic filter, and you can add additional items, and put them in here to further search as needed. So super nice, the student directory. All right, our next link, meals. If your district is using meals, I'm not certain of any of our districts that are using them, but this is where you would see your current meal balance for the teacher for this. Our next link here, reports. So this is reports here on our left navigation menu. When you're selecting this to run a report, it's going to run a report for all of your students. So all of the courses that the teacher teaches, all of those students in those courses, this report is going to be run for. So this is important to note. There is a way to run reports for specific courses, and we'll show you that later. But when the teacher is accessing this report, again, it's important to note that it's going to run for all students. The reports listed here are the reports that have been made available to the teachers within the admin portal. So they can select the report, and again, it's going to select all of those students, and the teacher can make some edits here, how they want the report to be run. Do they want a watermark text? Is this an unofficial document? Do we want that watermark to be an overlay or an actual watermark? Again, just some options here, what they're selecting, and then when to print. Do you want to print right away or at night on the weekend? They can specify different times. If these are larger reports, they may not want to run it during the day while they're teaching and need access to PowerTeacher. So they may want to schedule it at night or on the weekend to run a specific report. They make their selections and then click submit, and it'll take the teacher to the report queue. You can see it's running that report. Click on refresh. We'll refresh the page. Depending on the size of the report, if it's a very large report, you might have to click refresh a couple of times, but it'll show you once it's done running that it's been completed and you can view. Teacher can view as needed. And again, that's when that report queue icon, if they haven't run a report yet, that's when that'll appear there. But that is with the reports. Our next text link is recommendations. So recommendations, if this is set up, teachers can recommend students for specific classes. This comes into play. We see this in the early spring, or not even the early spring, I just take that back, comes into play now, usually in the winter after January. Students are beginning to make requests for the following school year, what courses they want to take. Recommendations is a way for teachers to recommend students for specific courses. So if there are requirements for students to take certain courses, or if a teacher just wants to recommend a course for a student, they can do so by clicking Create Recommendations, and they'll select the class that their student is in, and then they can select the specific student or multiple students. They click Next. And then what year is this recommendation for? So if this, we're in our training database, but if this were for next year, you would have the option to select for the next year. And then you can select the course that you're recommending those students for. If you scroll down, there's also a place that the teacher can put comments here. Again, any comments, they recommend them for this class based on XYZ. They can state that in the comments and click submit, and then they'll see those recommendations listed here. You can see all of the recommendations that the teacher has made. When they come to this page, they can always click on the edit pencil and edit that recommendation as needed, or delete it if they need to, delete that recommendation. And again, a way to filter if they're recommending, in this case, I believe I had over 150 students. If I was making recommendations and I had 150 here and I needed to sort them, there's a way I could filter them out as needed for a specific course, however it is, again, that the teacher wants to look at it. So that is recommendations. Student observations. So the student observations and referrals page, this allows users to view, manage student observation records. Important to note, again, within Ohio, log entries is used for discipline state reporting issues. But if your district is using observations and referrals for other items, this is where the teacher would go to enter those observations and referrals. There's a way to, when they navigate to this page, they can see their previous observations, referrals that they've made, giving them some brief information here. The participants in it, we can see there's a +1, there's an additional person on this observation. Has it been saved? Is the outcome entered? When it was last updated? And then we have some actions here. We can review the observation, we can edit it, we can close it. That would close, enter it as a closed status instead of saved, or delete the observation altogether. If you edit it, it'll open up all of the information. Again, we saw that there was another participant. We can see the information. Again, this is discipline is for log entries for Ohio. So if you're using observations in another way, this would be helpful for your teachers to know. If they want to create a new observation, they click on the little plus sign, opens up here. So again, this is my student, in one of my students in my courses. I can filter by the class, and I select the class, which then allows me to select the student in that class. I can add them, and this is where I can add multiple participants to the observation. So if I want to now look at a student in another course, you can add those accordingly. You can assign the roles of the observation, what you observed. You can assign them accordingly by clicking on, and then your observation information would be entered here. Again, I'm not certain how many of our districts are using this. You can see this is more discipline aligned, and we're using log entries, but wanted to show that. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So that is student observations. And we can click on our start page, come back to our start page here with our current classes. All right, any questions so far? Anything we've gone over? All right, we'll keep moving along here within the teacher portal. So we're looking at our current classes here. So we want to talk about the information that is being displayed here. With your starting first in this first column, this is your expression column. So your expression is made up of the periods and days from your bell schedule. So as those are set up in the buildings on the admin side, the first period, the A day, you can see how those are set up and how you're viewing them here in the expression column. Course is going to be, of course, the course name. And then you can see below it, we have the course dot section number listed here. This is, again, we talked about section number, this column within your manage profile. You could hide the section column here if you don't want to see it because it is listed here. That is something that you could do. Also within the course, you see there is a link to PowerTeacher Pro. The difference between this link to PowerTeacher Pro and this link over here in our left navigation, this PowerTeacher Pro link will take it open in a new tab directly into this speech course. So if you came in and you wanted to look, go to your grade book for your specific course, you could click on that and it would take you directly there. Again, your section numbers listed next. The term is the course, a year-long term, a quarter, semester. That's going to be listed here in your term column. And then your enrollment, letting you know how many students are enrolled in that course. That's going to be listed here. Next, we see our attendance status. So we see the dashed circle. This is letting us know, this empty dashed circle, attendance has not been taken yet for this course. So our next three options have to do with attendance. So we're going to look at take attendance first. We click on take attendance. And that's a lot of what the portal is used for, is for that attendance. We can see we're taken to the attendance page where we can enter our attendance. Within PowerSchool, all of the students are automatically considered present, that they are attending each and every day. So when a teacher comes to make attendance notations, they're marking them absent or they're marking them tardy. If they're all present, again, they would just come in and hit submit. And you can see that green check mark lets us know attendance has been taken for this course, for this class. We'll go back to take attendance for this class here. So you can see again, they're all marked present. If we wanted to, it'll default to today. We can look at past days if the admin portal has it set up. So within the admin portal, you can set up teachers have, within the last week, they're allowed to take attendance, or maybe the last 2 weeks or a week into the future. That can all be set within the admin portal. If you want your teachers to only be able to take attendance on the day that it is, you would see this. It would take for just today, Tuesday, the 29th. Showing multiple sections. So this, when you're clicking on showing multiple sections, it's showing those like double periods. So if you had courses being taught in third and fourth period, so it's a double period, but you want to count attendance in both of those periods, that is what the show multiple sections is. And then group by track, I have this turned on, but if you have it off, most of the teachers would have it off, and this is what they would see when they come to see the attendance. Grouping by track, they could group their students. If you're using tracks within your district and the teachers want to group them that way, they could. For example, at your high school, if your seniors have a different track because they have a different calendar, they get out a few days earlier than the rest of the school. So maybe the seniors are on track B and all of the other underclassmen are track A. You could separate it that way. You could group them by track. So you would see everyone on track A listed, track B, so on and so forth. Again, that's a preference on how the teacher wants to see it, but I would say most often teachers would not have that track on, so they would see their students like this listed below. You can see, as we've navigated to these different attendance pages, we see the students' names, and then we see all of the associated alerts. This is, again, our test box. Brandon is one of our favorite students, and we give him lots of alerts. So you see that he has lots of alerts listed here. These are alerts that you have on the admin portal. The district leaders have pushed out to the teacher portal. So there may be more alerts and things that are visible in the admin portal, and you're only selecting the applicable ones for the teacher portals. And those would be displayed same as in the admin portal. You click on them to see the pop-up. The teachers would see any associated information listed here. And then you can see we've added a legend. Not all the teachers would know what these, that this is an English learner alert. So they could see the legend listed down here. Oh, it's an English learner alert, and they click on it, or they can simply click on it and they would see the information. Again, the students are defaulted to present. So if you want to mark somebody absent or anything other than present, you click into that attendance and you can click on your attendance code as set up here. So if you have a student that's tardy, you could enter that, and you could say they were tardy and did not have a note from the office. Again, whatever the teacher wants to enter, notate on this on this attendance entry that they're making. And you can see once we enter that comment, it highlights in blue. We can submit this and we would see then that the attendance has been taken. Something to note here with the teachers when they come in, this is an attendance item that I entered, but maybe the office staff, they have the note from this student for Brandon. So they come in and they mark Brandon and they mark it as excused tardy. When the teacher comes in, they would see that entry from the admin portal. They would not be able to change it. So teachers can see what the admin, maybe it's the secretary, staff, the principal, whomever is entering those items, they can see that information. They would not be able to edit it. So the office staff, they can see the information that the teachers enter and they can update accordingly, but the teachers cannot update what the admin have entered. With the attendance, you can see we have some tabs up here at the top. So we're on single day. We see the 29th. We can go to multi-day and see for the week. Again, we can choose what attendance code we're wanting to mark students. We can click on them accordingly to enter that. We can also edit the date range. So if we wanted to see attendance, from last week, we could put those dates in. However you want to see that. Again, there's that multiple sections showing those double periods. If you want to see any comments, you can click display, and that's where you'll see that blue little bubble appear. So when it's like this, that comment's hidden, but you can click on display and you can click on that blue bubble to see that comment that was entered. And you can enter attendance, if you wanted to do multi-day, if you had, your 5th grade students and they were going to 5th grade camp for the week. So you needed to put in that it was a visit or a field trip. You could enter that for the students for the week, however you would need to. Seating chart. So let me go back to, I'm going to go back to a different class that doesn't have a seating chart set up yet. Well, before we go to seating chart, we've looked at take attendance. We've looked at multi-day attendance, class attendance. This is another one of those customizations. When you click on the class attendance, it's going to give you a summary. So it gives you a summary of all your students in that course that we selected that icon on. So we see all of our students listed here, and we see some attendance columns with some attendance summary information. We can copy this information. We can download it as a CSV or TSV file. We could print this page, or we could save it as a PDF. Those options listed here. With this attendance summary, we can filter it as needed. So if we wanted to sort it and see our grade levels in a certain way, we can click on these arrows to sort the information. If we want to, again, further the information, maybe we want to see who has less than, let's say less than 10 daily absent counts, we can enter that less than 10 and we see those results filtering right away. So again, this is just a summary page that you can work with and use for different purposes, but that is a customization that has been enabled on this test box. All right, so now we're going to come back to our seating chart. So seating chart, you'll see the column here for seating chart, but we saw seating chart on one of our attendance classes, because when you click on attendance, you'll see that seating chart tab here, because you can take attendance with the seating chart. So if this is something that maybe your subs log in the sub portal or the sub account, and they see the seating chart, so they know who's sitting where, but they can also take attendance on the seating chart. With the seating chart, we go to a class that hasn't been set up yet. So it's letting us know your default layout is blank. Do you want to pre-populate a layout? You can. It'll pre-populate one for you if the teacher wants to do that. Or we can create one. If we hit cancel, we can create a new layout. In order to do a new layout, you'll see there's new layout with these brackets and then new layout here below. They do need to click on that new layout within the brackets to create a new seating chart layout. And you can see it's now going to be called new layout 2. They can rename that. Maybe on lab days they have a specific seating chart, and they can give a description for that seating chart. And do you want to create a new layout from scratch or start from an existing layout? So again, giving the teacher options on how they want to create that. We're going to go ahead and create a new one. So we're going to click Finish. This is our lab days. And let's see. Where are my... I don't see my options here, but the teacher can add the options to group the students into tables. They can group them into a row. They can add a desk icon, set it up, you know, how it looks within their room. They can do all of that. And then once they have that, they can populate their students by manually selecting their students and pulling them where they want them to sit, or they can pre-populate them. There'll be options to populate them alphabetically by last name or by first name. They can do all of that. I think actually if we click on, oh, here we go. Here's our seating chart design. I needed to go one more over. This is again where they can add their objects, their desk. They had a chalkboard, whiteboard, or Cuomo board. They could put that. The door, where's the door to their classroom? The text box, this is for any items maybe that are not icons here, objects that we have. So maybe there's a window and we want to notate that within our seating chart. We can click check. We can move the window over here. So this again on the seating chart design, sorry, I was still on the other tab here, but on the seating chart design, this is where they can populate those students again by alphabetically. They could alternate male, female, or random. We could do a random and it's going to tell us it's going to do the top left. Do we want them to start at the top right or bottom left? Again, those options there. Let's start at the top left and add. And so you can see then it'll place the students. And you can move items around. So it populated those. So if we wanted to adjust it, we maybe moved our desk and the whiteboard stayed there, the window stayed there. You can see how it's moving items there. And then you can always remove, undo, and then if you're done, you like it, you can save it. If you wanted to, again, these are in rows, but if you wanted to do tables instead, this is where you could do, maybe we have 4 tables, 8 at a table. Maybe we want to add that. That's where it's going to add those tables. So on those lab days, maybe they sit at a desk, but maybe the tables are here for labs. You could do it that way. And then once they're done, they can save it. Again, this is, you can see the students listed here. Once it's saved, you can move as needed. The teachers could move it. Something to note, sometimes we see tickets come in that the teachers on the seating chart and they cannot, a student is grayed out. Sometimes with these objects, when students are moving and they get either behind or in front of an object or another student, they'll appear grayed out. So sometimes that's something to note when you look at those things, that they may have items overlapped within the seating chart when they say one is grayed out. Okay. Go back to our start page here. So again, that was our seating chart column, but that's also, you can access your seating chart within your attendance tabs there. Submit lunch counts. So if we click on submit lunch counts, this would be for the districts who are using PowerSchool's lunch program. You would enter your lunch counts accordingly, how you have them set up. The teacher would enter those and then click submit to save those lunch count totals. I'm going to skip student information for just a second. We're going to go these last two columns and then we're going to come back to student information. The email list, this is a customization as well. When you click on it, you will see the email list for that specific course that we clicked on. This customization displays email for those students and contacts, guardian email addresses, parent portal email addresses. You can see those listed here. You can individually select emails to be sent, or the teacher can select if she wants something to go to all of the parents, she can do so. And again, as those are selected, you see them populating down here below. So then they just need to copy and paste into their email to send. You can filter. They can use the item to filter if they're looking for just student emails. They could do so. Use the filter as needed. That's their email list. Print class reports. So this is where you would print reports specific to the course or the class. Again, this reports link on our left-hand side. This showed reports for all of the students, all of these enrolled students in all of our courses. But if we only wanted to print reports for this consumer science class, we would use this print report here. We're again seeing those reports that have been made available by our district admin, but now we are printing and running those reports specific to just that course, just 14 instead of all 159 that we saw before. All right, and we're going to come back to our student information. So this student information, if we click on this is going to take us to all of our student pages here, our student information pages. You'll see on the left-hand side, email addresses. It's that same customization that we previously saw. You can access it here as well. Report cards, this is the meta report card. If you are using the meta report card and within the admin portal, you have allowed teachers to print the report cards, this is where you'll see that report card link to print the report cards. Again, that's for this specific course. This is just important if teachers are running and printing report cards, they definitely would want to do it a course at a time, a class at a time. So there are a few students with the meta report card because it is running those queries and gathering that information to display. The more students you have selected, the longer it could take for the items to display. So that's just something to note here with the report cards. But within student information, again, we picked our speech class. So we see all of our students in our speech class. We click on our first student. So we're on the quick lookup page. I selected within my manage profile settings, I had selected that the quick lookup would be the page that I would be on when I come to the student information. And I can click on, you can see last name and first name. So what we want to show you is if we were on a different page, if we were on demographics, and I click on Brittany here, I'm going to see, I click on her first name and I'm still on demographics. I go to Brian, still on demographics. I selected my initial page to be the quick lookup. So maybe now I want to go back to my quick lookup. I can click on the last name. The last name is going to take us to our page that we have defined. So that's how the difference between the first and the last name works. Again, clicking on those accordingly through the pages. But quick lookup is the same as it is in the admin portal, you're seeing the information, you're seeing the student's schedule. You can see their attendance for last week and this week. You see their courses. You see their grades as they have been stored, how you're on the admin side, how they have quick lookup set up to display information. That's how it's going to show here. You're seeing that information listed accordingly. You can click into any of these items to see detailed information. So if we want to see that grade for, we want to see the assignments associated with that grade, you can see as we click on it, we see all of the assignments, we see the students' grades. Again, this works similar to how it does within the admin portal. We can view information on those assignments, clicking on it, seeing the different information. As we move through the student pages, you'll notice we do have the student picture if you have your student photos being displayed. We're also seeing the name of the page with Quick Lookup. We were on Quick Lookup and we opened up a specific grade, so it took us to the scores page. So it's going to tell us the page that we're on. Again, those associated alerts, those alerts that we have that your admin has selected for your teachers to be able to be seeing, those are listed here, same as they were when they were taking attendance. You can click on those to view the information as needed. And then we see a student line. We see the student name and any additional information that your admin have set up to be viewed here on the student pages. So we can see this has been formatted a little bit, different colors, some things highlighted. Again, however your admin have it set up for you to display. With Quick Lookup, we can see there's also the tab to view standards grades. So if there's standards associated with the courses, you can see those. They come expanded. You can click on the arrow to, they come collapsed. You can click on the arrows to expand those to see more information. And then you can do that individually, or you have options to expand all of the items, and that'll open everything up. You also, teachers could also show the standards that don't have any grades. So they would see any standards listed with no grades. And again, they can collapse everything. So that's within Quick Lookup and the standards grades. Similar to the grade, we clicked on to open that. The same with attendance. We can click on to open that and view more information. These are currently showing the student in their currently enrolled courses. If you wanted to see the students' dropped courses, the teacher could click that link and you would see any courses that have been dropped. You can see those have been added. And then again, just some attendance information at the bottom, last week, this week, and then those totals listed here. That's our Quick Lookup page. So we're just going to go through some of these pages here. You can see the list of student information pages listed here. They are dependent on what your district has set up for you to be displayed. Sometimes those customizations, or what we call third-party plugins, add additional student information pages. So those might be some additional ones like a viewer here, different things that you see, some JSON files there. Again, different things that come from those external plugins. So we're going to go over just a few of these student information pages. As you click those in the drop down, you'll be taken to those pages. Your cumulative grade information, it is again showing that students' GPA information, how those calculations have been set up based on the grades entered, all that, and then you can see it listed here on their cumulative grade information page. And they can click on the drop down again, select the different pages. This is their daily information, giving out every day and giving those attendance codes associated with those days. You can see descriptions again showing HB 410 information. Your summary here at the bottom If you're again looking at one student, you want to look at another student's attendance information, click on the first name. It'll take you to Johnny's student daily attendance information. Then if we wanted to go back to quick lookup, we go back to the last name. That was daily attendance. Demographics. So the demographics, the student demographic information that's been recorded is going to be displayed here. You can see there are on the demographics page, these are collapsible sections. You can click on these arrows to close information as needed or open as needed. So this is my preference for my gradebook as I'm going through. Other users could have just all of these items open, again, how they would like. What's nice to know with these collapsible sections, when you print, it's only going to print the items, the section that's opened. So all of our other collapsed sections aren't going to print on this page if they're closed. If you want something to print, you would want to make sure that section is open and then print. So that's kind of a fun thing to know about the demographics page. But there's this pulling from the admin portal how the student was enrolled, all of the information collected and displayed here. You can see their address, the additional information, if your district is collecting handbook information, internet access, all of those questions, maybe they're collecting that information, and if so, you would see that listed. Ethnicity information, vehicle, if these were high school students, maybe you issue parking passes and you want the teachers to be able to see that information, it would be listed here. Our graduation plan progress, this is for our students. You can view their graduation plan. You can see the status, their credits and their programs, what the status is of the progress. And there's a little bar here on the right-hand side showing that completion, where they're at within that completion. You can click on these items. That opens the drawer to give more detailed information on those requirements. And then we could go to log entries. Again, we're not opening all of these. It's depending on what you have within your environment. Log entries. So I'm going to hop back to Brandon here because I know he has some. So if we had previously entered log entries, you'll see that those are listed here below. If you needed to enter a new log entry, you would click on new. And again, within your manage profile settings, the teacher can select their default log entry. My default was discipline, so I can see that I've been defaulted to a discipline entry. And you can see the other ones if I needed to change it accordingly. But you can enter the log entry as your district requires you to enter that information and click submit once you enter that new entry. All right. We have meeting attendance, again, a view of that period, that meeting attendance for the student. You can see that throughout the year listed here. So just a visual view of the attendance. You're not taking attendance, you're just viewing it on the meeting attendance page. Missing assignments. You can see if a student has missing assignments for a specific term. You can select the term. You can also notate, is it missing? Was the student absent? Is it incomplete? As you select those, you'll see your list display accordingly. So there are none that they're missing assignments, but they have been marked because they've been absent or incomplete. So that's where we're seeing those flags accordingly. And you can click on the assignment to be taken to that information. Print a report. Again, you're printing a report for this single student. We're on a student page now, so we saw how we could print reports for all of our enrolled students amongst all of our classes. We saw reports for just the specific class. Now we can see where we could print a report for a single student. on the print a report. Quick lookup, we looked at that page already. Our recommendations, we saw that on the teacher portal where you could enter recommendations. You can also enter that here as needed. Again, recommendations might be something that you do or do not see depending on what's set up in your on the admin side. Report card, you're going to see the student report card here. We saw by clicking on report cards link on the left hand side, we could print all of the speech student report cards. If we only wanted to print one, we can select, we're on the student information, we're on the report card. We can print just this single report card if we needed. Schedule matrix, showing the student's schedule in that matrix layout, what the student has scheduled, what they have for the year. The schedule is a list schedule, so the schedule matrix shows it more of visually breaking them up where they would be throughout the day. The schedule link here on the student information, it's just a list schedule, so it's listing the courses that the student is enrolled in. Student account and access summary, so looking at again, if your admin has this set up, seeing who has logged in, what time, how long they were in. You can view that information. If it was, we see the parent, if the student was accessing it, we would see the student access information. Student photo, that is just where you can see the student photo, and if you have it displaying on the student line, you would see it there. Create an observation, that's where we saw it'll take you right to open up a new observation that you could enter if you are doing that within your district. And it's going to take you, you can see it opened up to a new entry for me to enter, and then I would be taken back to my student observations page to see all of those. I'm going to go back to our student information. Where we were at though. I'm going to pull Brandon up again. So that was the student observations or create observation. Submit log entry is also a customization. You'll notice we went to log entries previously. It's showing us all of the students' log entries that have been entered. If you click on submit log entry, it opens up to, again, a new log entry already ready to be recorded. Teacher comments, you can see if a teacher has made any comments for the student. You can switch by terms here to view any comments that have been made. Term grades, so we're going to see by term the student's grade, grades for the courses they're enrolled in. We can see all of the terms listed and the grades earned. Test results. So if you have, this is a PowerSchool page, test results. If your district is recording test results on the test results page in the admin portal, they would be displayed here on test results. We have, and I don't see it listed here in this box, but there is a state assessments customization. The state assessments customization does display test results from the state FA page in the admin portal. So the admin entering those test results, ACT scores and things, they enter those on the FA page. There is a state assessments that you can select for the teachers to see if you want them to see. So it would not be on test results. This is core PowerSchool core test results page, but we know that our districts do have to report test information through the FA page. So if you want teachers to view that, it's state assessments. So you can reach out to us and we can, oh, there it is. I just didn't scroll fast enough. I'm sorry. state assessments. So this is what it would look like. Again, this is pulling from the FA page, and it'll show those assessments that you want the teachers to see. You can display their performance levels. You can see it's an interactive display. Okay. The emergency contact page. Again, this is similar to the demographics page where there are sections that can be collapsed. So you can collapse those as needed. What's nice about these collapsed sections is specific to this page. In the event of an emergency, you needed to print out a student's emergency medical page to give to the nurse staff or whomever is there, but you don't want to print out the contact information, this personal information. You can close this contact section and print the page. Again, those closed sections don't print. So this is nice to have, again, in case of an emergency. Teachers could print this out to have available for, again, those emergency staff that are coming to help maybe with a situation. So that's nice with the collapsible sections. But the teacher can see contact information here as recorded within the admin portal. They can see all of the contacts, details, email addresses, phone numbers as needed to contact them. Transportation, if you're using PowerSchool's transportation, or if you're using the Meta transportation customization, that information will be displayed here according to how it's entered. So teachers could access a student's bus information if that's recorded in here on the transportation page. Graduation pathways, again, pulling from the admin, those pathways. You can see those sections collapse, so you can expand them and see the progress that the student has made on those, on the grad pathways. Teacher has access to view all of that information. And they can see, you can see the different legacy requirements, class of 21, 22, as Ohio has changed with their requirements and things for graduation, and different with SEALs and financial literacy. As that all gets changed and updated, the graduation pathways gets updated additionally. We looked at state assessments, and we've talked about logs, and then test scores. Again, a way to view those test scores as they're recorded. Teacher can click on those to view detailed information. But those are the student information pages that the teacher can access for their students. And to go back to that teacher portal page, click on that logo, takes us back to our portal homepage. So, any questions about the teacher portal? Anything that we've gone over you have questions about?
Okay, hopefully everybody's back. It's 10:40. I'm going to talk through, Sally went through the portal, and I am going to spend the rest of the time that we have available talking about the actual grade book. I thought I saw a note pop up. I guess we're okay. All right. I'm starting from the portal screen because, again, Sally, go ahead. I saw you pop in.
I was just saying they're putting in the chat that they're back, so we're good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, I'm starting from the portal because, again, as you log in, this is always your launch page. Sally showed you how you can go up here to PowerTeacher Pro and bring that up, or she mentioned that you can come to any of these links. I am going to work specifically, I want to work on my calculus class, so I can click that link there, and I'm going to go right into the gradebook. Now, for anybody that's seen the gradebook before, this release that we got from May, the summer release, it has changed the look and feel of it. If you recall, before it was mostly a dark blue background. PowerSchool has updated the interface to look more like their newer products that are coming out. You see a little bit more white background. Your icons over here on the left have changed look a little bit, but the functionality is all the same. However, it does look different, and I forgot that when I first signed on the other day. Similarly, I am going to kind of go through this process like Sally did. I want to talk about some of the settings that you have out here and the other things you can do. Also, with this new look, this current classes, that is also going to take me back to the portal, just like Sally had shown the other way of doing the new tab. That is the benefit of the other way. This one takes me directly back and I don't really get it open in a new tab. Okay, so that's what my current classes does. Over here, I'm going to start with my navigation bar, very, very similar. I'm going to start with my initials, okay? I have, most important for all of you teachers, I have 3 different ways I can look at this. Right now, I'm looking at a class list and I'm on a medium setting. If I go to small, I have more kids now. If I collapse this, I can have even more, but I went from a handful to 27. I can also go to large, and then I have large as well. Now, if I have student pictures, I'm going to see them on the large setting. I'm also going to see them on the medium setting. Here I do have somebody with a picture. All right. The reason PowerSchool did all this, when they first converted to this, they only had large, and they thought it was great because now if you're on a tablet or something and you're using your fingers or a pencil, it made it easier. However, everybody didn't like that. And they said, we'd rather see more kids than fewer kids because we really don't use our tablets that much. And they came along with these 3 options. Okay. The next thing to the left of my initials is help. Again, just like in the portal side, I can go to my help and it's going to open that same thing, only this is going to be specific to PowerTeacher Pro, the gradebook. The other one might give you a little bit more information on administrative functions as well, but this will help you with just the gradebook. We also have a getting started. Now, if you're a brand new teacher, you've never gotten into PowerTeacher Pro again, you are going to see this as your very first screen when you sign in. It's going to be a nice welcome, and it's going to give you, again, just that visual. I will tell you, I think the gradebook is pretty easy to use now. It's pretty intuitive. Anything I have to do with the class where I'm going to enter scores is over here. Anything that's student specific is going to be here. Here's where I select my classes. Notice I'm in calculus, but I can come up here and see all of them. This is where I'm going to create things, primarily assignments, my help, my text size, and if I have access to something like Schoology or some of the other PowerSchool third-party add-ins, this is where I'm going to be able to go and access those. I have a nice welcome tutorial video as well. When I'm done looking at that, I can close it. So that's if I'm a brand new first-time teacher. For all of the teachers that come back this year, they're immediately going to get what's new. This is going to show them the most recent changes. As you can see, the user interface update, which I mentioned. They can now, one of the new things that is true for this year is I can assign multiple categories to an assignment. Before it was only a single, now I can do multiple. And the big enhancement to observations. Again, observations, one big way, and that might be something that happens down the road, is to do referrals for discipline and things like that. But observations can also be that you want to track. I've observed that, Linda has come in and has fallen asleep 3 times this week. I need to talk to the parents. Is something going on? Observation when I have Linda and Chris sitting together, there's too much talking going on. So I need to remember to keep them separated. So observations can be other things that are unique to you as well. Again, a nice little video. It's going to highlight that. All of your teachers are going to see this when they come back this year. So that, and I can go back previous as well. So if I wanted to know what happened in each release, they do a nice job of keeping those out there for you. Okay. Your little paper is similar to the printer sheet that Sally showed on the portal side. It's going to be notifications and report queue. Like I said, we'll talk about this in a minute. My plus sign, though, is to create. I can create an assignment. I can create a group of students. So I have all my kids in my calculus class, but I want to split them out by groups, the red team, the blue team, the fast learners team, whatever I want it to be. I can create those observations and I can create an email. Right? And again, my class selector. I can come down here and I can change from my period 3 calculus to my period 7 calculus. I can also look by groups. Now these are different types of groups, okay? So the first way I can do it is PowerSchool says, well, I'm going to let you see all classes all together. Then it comes in and it says, all right, based on course numbers, I can also make you groups of your Algebra 2 honors classes or your 2 sections of calculus. You have 2 of those, or you have 2 math lab support classes. So it makes those groups for you. And then it also has the student groups that you made. So Team A, I have 7 students from 3 classes. Again, this could be my red groups, my blue groups, whatever I need them to be. Okay. Right. The settings are where I'm going to go to next. All right. I can get to things in a lot of different ways. That's something important to remember about PowerSchool. You know, I'm going to show you a way to maybe score, but there may be more than one way to score. To update your settings, there may be more than one way to do settings. Again, it becomes something that is useful and easy for you. The other 2 options I have here is this is going to take me directly to my score sheet, or I can go to my progress report. All right. I go back to my calculus group. And I'm going to start with settings because this is really, I think, what I want to spend a lot of the bulk of my time on, that and scoring comments. There's so much to see in this. But again, I think you guys will find it to be very intuitive. The important part is getting your gradebook set up initially. All right. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with display settings. All right. How do I want to see my class names? Do I want to see them by period and day or by section numbers? Your default is going to be period and day. Most people, I think, leave it that way. Okay. For traditional grades, now I get an A at the end of the 9 weeks, and it's based on total points. Do I want to show that? Why would I not want to show this? Maybe I'm in elementary school and I'm only doing standards, and I just grade the standards and I don't really give a final grade of an A, B, C. Mostly, again, for my training purposes, I'm leaving that on. When I show those traditional grades now, what do I want to see in that column? Do I want to see the grade? Do I want to see the percent? Do I want to see the points? Again, your preference. For my demo purposes, I'm leaving them all on. So much like traditional grades, I can say, do I want to see standards grades? I don't know if I have any standards people here or not. If we do, I'm probably going to hold off most of the discussion or showing you that until the end. But do I want to see those standards pages? What that does is it puts a little menu option here for all my standards. Do I want to see standards on assignment? So multiple ways, and this is, dependent on, I'm guessing, some of your own philosophy, but also some of your building and district's guidelines. All right. I can have someone set up my standards. Let's say I've got some math standards, counts to 10, knows my numbers, can multiply by 2, whatever that is. And maybe that's all you want to grade. And at the end of the 9 weeks or the end of your term, you're going to go in and enter grades on each of those. But you can also create an assignment. The assignment is, homework. The assignment is a quiz. And when I create that assignment, I can associate standards to that assignment. So my quiz, my Friday quiz, what I'm really checking is, can they count to 10? Do they know how to write paragraphs? I can attach that standard to that assignment, and then I can see that. The next thing associated to that is, when I do that, how do I want that to push out? So do I want it to automatically push out? And let me show you, and this may make it a little easier. Let me go to my assignment list. So I have a final chapter test here. All right. I can come into this assignment and I can say, it's going to, I didn't think I have any at the high school. I have to go to middle school. When I make my assignment, I could say, this is going to assess standards at 1, 2, and 3. And then I can come in and push that out there. See, I don't have any standards. So I'll have to sign into somebody else. But in the meantime, let me keep talking about that. I apologize. But that's what my standards does. Do I want to see standards? Do I want to see standards on assignments? Do I want to auto-calculate those standards? Okay, what that means, I have that quiz. It's worth 10 points. I associated a standard to that quiz. When I grade that quiz and a student earns 7 points, do I want my grade book to automatically calculate what that standard's equivalent is? Navigation link sort order is a very minor setting. It says, do I want to see traditional and standards or standards and traditional? And that means on this menu. That's all it does at the present time. A professional judgment indicator for standards is also something I can show. What it's going to do is, say I have a standard and I have assessed it 5 times. And I have said, gradebook, I would like you to calculate the final standards grade. So I count to 10. I've assessed it 5 times. I've got a met, I've got an exceeds, I've got a progressing, I've got another met. How do I want that final grade calculated? And I'll show you that in a minute. But professional judgment indicator is a feature in the gradebook that says, I calculated a final grade for you, but you may want to use your professional judgment to agree with it or not. And again, I will show you an example of that. My recommendation, if you are using standards, this is what you want your setup to be. You pretty much want everything checked on. There's no reason not to show that professional judgment indicator. No reason not to show the standards on assignments unless you're grading at the end of the term. Okay. I guess before I talk too much more about standards, is there anybody that's using them? Do we even want to dive into them, or do I just want to save time and not even talk about standards? Any notes? Any?
No comments in the chat, so.
Okay. Okay, Grandview says we use, but can skip. Okay, yep. All right. Well, I'm not going to talk any more about standards then. Okay, student names. How do I want to see the names in my gradebook? Do I want to see it as John Smith? Do I want to see it as Smith John? Okay. How do I want to sort them? Do I want to sort them by last name, first name, or grade level, and then name? If I get a new student and they're enrolling, I've been in session for a month now, and somebody comes into my class. Do I want my newly enrolled student to go to the bottom of my list? If I do, I would add that. To me, this is kind of a throwback to the paper grade books. That was really the only place you had an option to add that new student. So some people still like to do that. It does identify the new kids. When it does that, you will see that student in your list at the bottom, and they will show with their enrollment date for 2 weeks. After that, the date drops off. Likewise, I have for new students pre-registered. All right. I have somebody, again, we'll say it's, September 15th, and somebody is moving into my class as of October 1st. The office is very efficient. They've already enrolled that student into my class. Do I want to see them on September 15th when they've got that schedule done? Or do I want to wait and not see them until October 1st, the first day they will be with me? If I don't want to see them until October 1st, I would hide my pre-registered students. Okay. The last thing on this display settings is, what do I want my start page to be? All right. Again, this was a nice feature changed by PowerSchool, because initially when they created this, it only went to the assignment list. Now you can pick. If you always start on your score sheet, make that be your default start page. So when I come over from the portal, that's where I'm going to be sitting at. But I can use any of these screens as my landing page. Maybe I want the demographics, or maybe I want attendance. In the gradebook, I don't know why. But I can make any of these my custom starting page. Okay, so those are my display settings. Okay, my next important setup piece is my class description. So I have, for every class that I'm teaching, information about the class. I can see my course number, my section number, what days, when it starts, when it ends, the grade scale that has been associated to this class. Default is probably a standard A to F, but maybe it's an honors class. And maybe that grade scale is going to be a little different. I can see that this is using a different grade scale than this guy is. I can give this the custom class name. Again, Sally touched on that earlier, but displaying the custom class name in the portal. Maybe I want to call this Math Lab Support for Team A. Okay, this will just show in your gradebook and the portal. On a report card or anything parents and students would see, it's still going to use the official name of Math Lab Support. So you can call these custom names anything that's meaningful to you, but your report cards and external communications are all still going to say calculus. My class description, this is your opportunity to do a little bit about yourself in the class, all right? This information is also seen on the portal. On that quick lookup screen, if somebody drills into it, this is where you can say, hi, I'm Linda Yoder. We're doing calculus this year. This is how we're going to do it. I also use Khan Academy, and here's a link to those classes. Here's how I grade. Here's my expectations. Do as much as you want in here, up to 4,000 characters, okay? Now, I can bold, I can underline, I have some basic formatting commands as well. It's really nice that PowerSchool gave you this option. What they didn't do was give you a copy option. So if you're repeating the same thing over and over, my recommendation is set up one class, come in and highlight everything, do a Control C for copy, and then just paste it into your other ones. I do have the ability to expand everything or to collapse everything as well. Again, you don't have to do anything at all on this class description page, but it is nice, again, for parents and students, because this is one of the ways you can communicate with them. Okay. Your comment bank. Your comment bank, you could have one from your school if they have set one up. If that is the case, it would be under district comments and you would see all of their predefined comments. However, you can also build your own comments. All right. I can, maybe it's very specific to a project as opposed to, showing improvement in class or needs to turn in homework. Maybe it's specific to a project, to that class, to special things that you're doing. Very simple to add them. It's add. You do have to give it a code. Maybe you want to group them as positive and negative, or positive and improvement, negative being a negative connotation. But I'm adding the code, a category. I can say whether it's a favorite or not. Go to one that's existing. I do also have the ability to use smart text. Okay, smart text being, when this comment now prints out, it will say, Linda needs to participate more. She is capable of doing better. If I want to create a comment and have smart text as part of it, I would come down here and say, what is the smart text that I want? Maybe I want to say, your son, daughter, and it's going to look at that gender. It is only going to look at male and female at this point in time, and it's going to insert that setting. Same thing with he, she, him, her. First name, last name, obviously it's going to pick it that way. Okay. One thing I want to point out in the grade book, on a lot of pages, not all of them, you will see a gear. You saw a gear on the portal, but the gear are usually additional menu options. This one says hide filter. If I hide the filter, then that goes away. If I want to see the filter, it shows back up. So it's all about controlling real estate. If I have, 100 and some comments, the filter may be helpful for me. I might be able to do a search that says homework or something like that. But that is all it will do in this case, hide or show the filter. All right, so that's comments. Again, I am going to say most of you already probably have district comments defined, but you can make your own. Okay, I'm going to skip these two groups for a minute, and we're going to go to traditional grade calculations. All right, here's that little gear again. Notice it's got a copy button. So the menus would be different. They are screen sensitive. They're going to adjust depending on the screen that you're on. Same expand all, same collapse all. All right. Again, you may set some of these, you may set none of these as a teacher. It depends on how your district school building has set things up for you. All right. In the case of my 9-week grades, so this example, this training database doesn't do exams. They don't do semester grades. They're only doing 4 9-week grades and a final. If you had all those, you would see terms for each of those here. All right. What someone has set up for me is they said first 9 weeks is going to be calculated based on total points. Now, you as a teacher, you have the ability to edit that. Why would I want to edit that? I don't like total points. I like category weighting. I like 50% of my grade is based on tests and 25% is based on participation. So I can do category weighting. If I want to change that, I could come in here and I could say, I don't like total points. I want to do category weighting. And now I can set those up based on the categories that I've created. I can also choose to drop low scores or not. And I can edit that. I can drop lowest overall or by category. So if I have the ability to edit, that's pretty much what I can do. And I will say I see most places giving everyone the ability to modify whatever term you're on, 6-week grades, 9-week grades. Defaults are usually total points, but you can adjust those. When you get to the biggie, the final grade, the final semester grade, typically your ability to edit is not there. I can, even though it's locked, I can still see what that calculation formula is, though. I can see that that final grade, my Y1 reporting term for my calculus class, is going to be based on 25% from each of my 9-week grades. Another thing in the gradebook, you will see a lot of what looks like a little school building. This means that the setting was done by someone in the district office or the school office. And that typically means that you cannot change it. And that's exactly what we know. We can't edit it. And I can see why, because it was set here. But I still can see what that calculation looks like. Okay. For my honors algebra, it's the same way. Maybe my math labs might be a little different. In this case, it's a 9-week grade from the first 9 weeks, a grade from the second 9 weeks, and then a total semester grade. Now, nobody set the calculation up at the district, so it's telling you a calculation formula hasn't been configured, so the default will be total points. If someone has not taken the time, the gradebook says I'm going to use total points. So maybe this is one where you want to go in and say, no, it should be 50% from here and 50% from here. Again, this is a real training database. This is an example. Lab support is probably going to look a little bit different than yours. My guess is most of you guys will look like this. Okay. Questions on the tradition, on any of these settings so far, because these are real important. Okay, and we're going to skip the standards. Class grade scales, again, you are seeing this here. And this is just going to let you see how grades are calculated. Again, notice I have the schoolhouse setting, means you cannot override it. The grade book does give you the ability, if your district chooses, to let you create your own grade scales. I have to say, I have never seen anybody let that happen, but it is an option. And if I did have that ability, I could come here and I could create Linda's grade scale for calculus. And it could be whatever I wanted it to be if I had that permission. In lieu of that, I can pretty much come out here and I can see when I'm in my algebra honors class, in order to get an A plus, I have to have 93.75%. In order to get a B, I have to have a minimum of 66.75. Each of my grades is associated to a color level, and the color levels are used for some progress reports. It kind of helps identify kids that are above the line, below the line, maybe need some improvement. So basically your Fs or your lower grades are usually in reds or oranges, your greens meaning they're okay. And I'll show you an example of that, how it's used in a little bit. Again, back to this, grade scales cannot be edited. You also, if permission is allowed, have student grade scale. Okay, what does that mean? That's for those kids that they're graded differently. Maybe it's an ESL student, or maybe it's a special needs student, and their IEP says they're to be graded only on pass fail, only on satisfactory, unsatisfactory. Or maybe it's maybe it's still an A to F grade scale, but the cutoffs are different. So you can do that if you have permission. Typically, again, though, I see that the district will control this. And all this does is give you the ability as a teacher to see what those students are. Okay. Finally, here I have my student groups. Again, this is where I can say, I want to create a new student group. This is going to call the Ridge House or my groups in Team A. Again, do I want to include dropped kids? Do I want to hide the filter? These are always going to look a little bit different. Okay. Settings, again, as a brand new teacher, this will be an important thing to have done. You're going to want to do that. Once you're done and it's set, you're probably never ever going to have to go back in here and change it again unless somebody from the office calls and says, you need to take this comment out, you need to add a comment in, whatever. Again, we miss this traditional grade calculation and you need to adjust it, but typically you're not going to get back into here again. All right. So we said over here, anything to do with classes and grades is going to be on this icon. So I'm going to start here and we're just going to talk about what things look like. Starting with my score sheet, because I believe that's probably what everybody uses the most. Back to, I have my gear. Notice I have a lot more options here. I can hide the filter. I can hide the summary. I can show metrics. I can say, what's my mean, median, and mode for my final grades and for each of my assignments. When I'm done, I can hide it. I can copy assignments. I can copy assignments from previous years. So once I've completed this year and I'm really pleased with myself and I have all those assignments and I want to copy them forward and save a little bit of time, add some tweaks, maybe there's some new requirements, I can at least start with something. I'm not starting with a clean slate. Recalculate final grades. This is when you might get a call from the office. The office may say, hey, we had to make a change to the grade scale. You need to recalculate. If you do, it's going to come in here. And basically, you're going to say, I want to do this for all my classes, and I'm going to recalculate. And it's going to rebuild those based on whatever changes the office made. Sometimes, I'm not going to say that there are never hiccups. Sometimes you're going to look at something and you're going to go, this doesn't look like it should be a C minus, or something just doesn't look right. It's a hiccup. And if that happens, the first thing we always recommend is recalculate. 95% of the time that fixes whatever kind of issue that you have. Okay, so again, my filter and my gear options. My terms, as opposed to the portal where you cannot change those terms, I can change them here. So right now I am looking at everything associated with quarter 4. If I would go to quarter 1, I'm seeing everything associated to it. If I want to look at everything for the whole year in one great big view, I want to change to my full year term. So typically, at the beginning of the year, you're going to start in quarter 1. This is going to be blank until you start creating assignments, and then you'll start scoring them, and it will build your spreadsheet. For my purposes right now, I want to stay in quarter 4. All right. I can see back to, again, that my class grade, quarter 4, is being calculated based on total points, just like we saw when we went into the settings. This is my grade scale. He's sitting at, Isabella, who's my first kiddo, is at a C minus, 71%. You go, yeah, I don't know if that's really a C minus or not. I've got show more, and I can come over here and I can go, oh yeah, the cutoff is 70. I had to have had a 73 to get a C. So I'm seeing that information. Again, I can adjust these. And now I don't want to see the summary. On my score sheet view, I have a filter. All right, let's just go back to that Y1 view where I have tons of assignments. Maybe I don't want to see them all. Maybe I want to see things that were done last month, and it'll filter down. Now, I'm not going to get good results here because I'm using last year's data, but I can filter too. Let me just see my assignments for this week. Let me see whatever. And I'm going to get rid of that. It is based on my due date range. Vice versa, this is also another nice feature. I want to see my assignments from the most recent or from the least recent. Again, I'm building out my assignments. I'm very efficient. I know what I'm doing for the first 9 weeks or maybe for the first month. I've built them all. I don't want to have to, when I get to the point of entering May 28th, I don't want to have to scroll all the way over here to get to May 28th. I want to see my most recent out here. Makes it a little bit easier as you get a lot of information. All right. If I were to score, I could score directly from here. This is one way. When I click into a cell, I can see the max entry for this assignment was 100. And I can say, everybody in this thing, they nailed it. And I can do that, and I can fill down. And now everybody has 100. And I can come in and do the exceptions. But let's just say Brandon didn't nail it. So I have multiple ways of doing it. The other way I could do it is enter my exceptions first. And I could say they're here and they're a 60. And then I could come in and do my 100 and fill down, and it will not overlay. So I have two ways to do it. Enter my exceptions and then do a mass fill, or mass fill and then undo it. Notice as I do all of these, the little boxes turned brown. Turning brown is a visual to you that says something changed. I've also got the final grade. It's going to change, right? Because I entered a new score. So it's going to recalculate that grand total points and come up with a new score. And they're also going to be highlighted even though I didn't do anything there. Okay. I'm not going to save them right now because I want to do a couple other things, but that's the easy way. I can enter a comment on this assignment. Yeah, maybe down here for his 60, I want to say, had been out sick, will allow a retake. Okay. I can notice, just like as Sally did on attendance, once I put a comment, I'll get a little blue dialog box. I can also mark missing. I have a lot of flags I can use, absent, for this assignment. I can even do a fill across. Maybe Nicholas Clark came in, maybe he's a new kid, and I just want to give him NAs or something to show he wasn't here for all this time. I could do a fill up and down, a fill across. If I would mark this exempt, I could still grade it, but maybe I'm going to leave it exempt. I've got a special arrangement with Rachel, and I'm going to let her take this final chapter test, but I just want to see how she does on it, because maybe she just transferred in, or maybe she got back from an illness. Whatever reasons there would be, you can grade something and still mark it exempt. So score sheet is actually pretty easy to use. I have the ability with drop downs. I can go to an assignment. I can copy and paste. So if I wanted to copy all of the results from this test here, I could say copy it and I could paste them all in here. I don't know why you would do that very often, but you can. Okay. When I've clicked into a cell, this little window that popped up over here is called the Score Inspector. Again, I can see a lot of information here. I can see what the max entry is. I have my flags. I have my comments. If I wanted to, I could go down a kid at a time from here. I would say most people are just over here, and I'm arrowing up and down doing what I need to do. Okay. Any questions about the score sheet? Right. My assignment list is just a little different way to view this. Again, I think there's really good pros and cons for doing things differently. If I'm doing standards, I like using the assignment list better because I can see that assignment, I can see the grade I'm giving, and I can see the standards associated with it. I can't get that same view with the score sheet. So again, depends on what you're doing. Notice again a gear. Basically, I can hide the filter or copy assignment. When I see things in a grid like this, typically PowerSchool is going to let me sort on them. So if I wanted to sort by category, if I wanted to sort by due date, I have that option there. I can, again, if I have a really long list, if I have, 50 assignments that I'm giving throughout the term or 75, I can do a filter and I can say, find just the quizzes or find whatever. All right. I can edit my assignment from here. So I want to see what's not scored. And I'm going to edit this guy. I'm not going to make it be 100-point assignment anymore. I'm going to drop that down because of where I'm at. I can come here and I can edit that assignment. And I can say it's now only going to be worth 75 points. And I can save and close. Okay, now I have a 75-point assignment. If I want to enter my scores here, as opposed to the score sheet, I'm just going to click on the link. And now I have all my kids. And if I enter here, there's the same score inspector that came up again. I can see the max entry. I have my flags. I can work it the same way. I have a lot of options on what to do. So again, if I wanted to say everybody was 75 and I want to do my fill down, oops, it knows it's smarter than me. Everybody was 30. Let's get rid of that. Everybody was 30. I can fill down. I can come in and do my exceptions. I know I changed everything here and I can save my scores. Again, I don't want to do that just yet. One of the things that I forgot to mention on my score sheet, and you would see it on the assignments as well, notice this kid has an orange triangle. Okay, that means Sydney is on my student grade scale. Notice she has a P. Everybody else has letter grades of A to F. If I were to give her, a new score here, if I gave her an 85 and I save, it's still going to be a P, even with the new number, because she's on a special grade scale. Down here, I have Samuel with a black triangle. That means I have overridden the calculated final grade. All right. So if I don't enter assignments and I just go at the end of the 9 weeks and all I do is enter grades, every one of those is going to show up as a black triangle. It's just, again, a visual indication to you that you have manually entered that final grade. Now, if I click in this cell, I can see some information about it. I can see that really the grade book calculated it as a D+, and the grade book calculated it at this percentage. If for some reason I overrode that, and maybe it was by mistake, or maybe I overrode it because I was waiting on an assignment to be turned in, whatever kind of conversation I'm having, I can always come in here and go, okay, he's caught up now, because look what's going to happen. All right, he finally took this test and he finally got 100 on it. Notice that didn't change. And it didn't change because the grade book respects your final decision, your professional judgment. You told it this grade is a D. Even though if I look at it now, ooh, getting that 100 really calculated it at a B+. Again, we will get a lot of tickets and questions on this. My teacher has just been entering all these assignments and the grade won't change and we don't understand what's not right. It's probably because they've manually entered it. And the grade book says you can enter as much as you want, but you told me it's a D and I'm not going to change it. Now you realize, I want to take this off. This is the revert button. Clicking on the revert button will now put you back to that calculated grade. So something, especially district leaders, keep in mind, if you see these little black triangles, somebody overwrote it and they can type till the cows come home, it isn't going to change it until they revert that grade. Okay. Note, you did see that notice also on the assignment list. I saw that Sydney's on a different grade scale here as well. So I wanted to point those guys out. All right. I know we're getting close on time. There's so much I can show, but I want to show you how to create an assignment because I think to start school or do whatever you need, what I need to make sure my grade book is set up. I want to make sure I can create an assignment and I want to make sure I can score an assignment. If you can do those three things, you're golden. I think the rest of it is pretty intuitive. So as I said, this is create. I'm going to create an assignment, right? First thing is, who gets the assignment? Do I want to do my groups that I created? You know, there's that Team A group. Do I want to do it by classes? Do I want all the classes or some of the classes? So I'm just going to make this for my period 7 calculus class and my period 3 calculus class. All right. What am I going to call this? I'm going to call it calculus example. All right. I have to associate it to a category. All right. I'm going to say that this is a bonus. When is this assignment going to be due? Now, because I said this is for 2 classes, maybe I want different due dates. Maybe my period 3 class is a little bit ahead, and so it's going to be due May 21st, and period 7 is going to be the 28th. Or I can stick with a single due date. But when I have multiple classes, I can put individual due dates on it. How am I going to score this assignment? I have points, percent, letter, and collected only. 90% I see as points, but the other options are out there. Percent says exactly that. What do I want the percent to be? Letter, I see sometimes at elementary schools. I don't want to do assignments where it's, 100 points and, give a kid an 85 and a 72 for, somebody in 2nd grade. Maybe I'm just sticking with letter grades. And I just want to go, you got A, B, C, D, F. And if that's the case, and I have, the grade scale set up correctly, it's going to know that an A is the equivalent of 95 points. Because you still have to do math in the background, right? Even if I say I've scored this as an A has to have some numerical value to it. So that is how my letter would work. My collected only is very, very nice, especially for elementaries, but really for anybody, but it just is a checkbox. They turned it in. I'm not grading the homework. I just want to know that they turned it in. It says I collected only. Again, I see this a lot for standards. Maybe I make that assignment and I associate standards to it, but I really don't grade the assignment. I just say I collected it and then I manually grade the standards. So we're typically points, and I'm going to go with that. When my category was set up, I associated default points to it. That's what comes in here. I can obviously override this to anything I want. I can associate extra points if I want, and I can associate weight to the assignment. Now remember, this is to the assignment, not to a final grade calculation. All right. With this assignment, do I even want it to count in the final grade? Now, again, maybe it's a practice test. And I'm, let's take it, see how everybody does, but it's not going to impact their final grade. So I can choose to include it or not. Now, I have tabs across the top, so I want to work my way across. Does this apply to everybody? Well, it's going to, apply to everybody in the classes that I picked. My period 7 calculus class, my period 3 calculus class. However, maybe this is a makeup test and I only am going to give it to 5 kids. I could come in here and say, well, it's really only going to be for these 4 or 5 kids. So I can come in here and I can filter. The kids that are not selected won't see this assignment in their portal view. You won't see it in that assignment list. So it's not like it used to have to be if it was like a makeup test and I only wanted 10 kids to get it, I had to exempt everybody else. And that kind of became a messy thing and it was hard to explain sometimes. Now I can just assign it to the kids that need it. If I had standards, this is where I would associate my standard with the class. And finally, when do I want to publish this assignment? Publish meaning make it open to the parents and students that they can see it. Do I want to wait to a date? Again, I'm a very organized person and I build them all for the whole year and I don't even want to show them until December or January. Do I want to show it 5 days before the due date? Do I want to wait on the due date or do I just throw it out here immediately? And do I want to publish the scores? Okay, that's all there is to creating an assignment. I now have, though, 2 options. I have save and close and I have save, right? If I save and close, that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to close that. It's going to hang here for a minute. And if I wanted to go in and score it immediately, I could. But I don't want to do that. So let me go back to my calculus example. I'm go back to my edit. All right. If I would have just picked save, and I'm going to do one here real quick. If I would have just done save, see, I said categories required, and I left it. All right. Again, it's going to let me do the score assignment if I want, but notice I have this duplicate button now. Duplicate is going to do just that. Duplicate is going to take this thing called save example, and I'm going to duplicate it. And now it made a new assignment called save example 1. It duplicated everything, including the date. When would I want to use this? I give a quiz every Friday. I have a spelling test every Friday. Maybe this is spelling test, and I'm going to call this save example, and I'm going to be number 2, and I'm going to bump that date up from 5/28. Again, I can't go forward, but maybe I started on the 9th, and then I would save it, and I can duplicate it again, and now it's example 3, and it's going to be on the 16th. So I can kind of quickly build duplicates, right? That's different than copy. Copy is going to let you do some other things with it and change dates and change some other things, but duplicate is a nice way to do that. I also have, once these assignments are created, again, if I wanted to edit it, change my mind, haven't graded anything, delete. Okay. A caution about delete. In my calculus example, so let me go back to edit assignment. Sorry. I said it was for 2 classes. Maybe I don't want to give this to my period 3 class. I've changed my mind. If I come down and hit delete, it is going to delete it from both selected. If I really want to get rid of it from the period 3 class, I need to come up here and take it off of period 3 and save it. Okay. Again, this will happen a lot of times. People go, I signed it to 5 classes and oh my gosh, I wanted to get rid of one and I got rid of the whole thing. Delete is it. It deletes everything. So if you are somebody that likes to use multiple class assignments, again, I'm the art teacher, I'm the Algebra 1 teacher, and I'm really given the same assignment in all my classes, but I changed my mind to take it off of a class, come up here and modify your classes. Do not hit delete. Okay. Some of my other views here, I'm going to skip some of these. My traditional, again, I'm just seeing my final grades and some absences. These absences are coming from the portal. Comment verification is something that we really encourage the use of at the end of the 9 weeks. So especially in some elementary schools, you'll be told, send me your final grades before we do the report cards. This is a great screen to come to. I can do a print and it will do that print for me. I can come in here and I can see my final grades. This might be where I want to overwrite them, but really this is, if you're expected to do comments at the end of the 9 weeks, this is a great place to come in and start. Now, I have a comment bank I can use. If I wanted to do that, I can come up here and I can say, show me my comment bank. And I can pick those and I can plus, plus, plus. I can say, how do I want to, my gear here is, how do I want to separate them by line breaks or spaces? Or I can just come up here and type my comment. Isabella had a great year. This is my Q4 comments. All right. When I come here, I've got my fill button. And I really want to give this to everybody. Again, like your final grades, I can fill up and down. I can fill across. If I say fill down, saying, well, what do I want to fill? I really only want to do my comments. I don't want to overwrite the grades. I don't want everybody to be a C minus. I want comments only. Again, it knows I did smart text. And it's saying, do you want to do that? And replace Isabella with the smart text. And if I say yes, now everybody has been updated. Rachel, Grace, Nicholas. One tip to remember about doing this, it has to match. Even though she may go by Izzy, it has to be Isabella, and it has to be case specific. Training story from a long time ago, we had one district and they did everybody in all uppercase, first name and last name. And we were like, look at this cool feature, and we could not get it to work. And we tried everything under the sun, and we finally got a hold of PowerSchool, and they were like, yeah, it's all in uppercase. So this does have to be specific in order to get it to work. Notice on this screen, I also have a box for final grade status. I'm done. It's the end of the 9 weeks. I've now added my comments. I've looked at all my grades. I can come in here and I can say my grades are done. If they're not done, I can leave it unchecked and say, please, please, please give me extra time. When I do this, I've now updated a flag for someone in the office that they can check on things. They have the ability to run a readiness report and they can go, I still got 5 teachers that haven't said they're done, and now they can go out and specifically inquire, do you need extra time? Are you having problems? Did you just forget to check the box? But this final grade status will show on any of these screens here. So I don't have to just be on comment verification to do it. Okay, if I'm someone that does category totals, it's nice I can come in here and I can see my category totals. Again, if you're somebody that changed your calculation to use categories and then you didn't put anything in the homework category, it will impact your calculation. So this is a nice way to check that. I can also see all of my terms all at once. It's going to highlight whatever I've got selected over here. But again, now I have a really nice visual to look across and see how things are going for the year and what that final grade is looking like at the moment. So everything related to classes. Related to students, I can now come to Isabella and I can see things specific for her. I can see a class log. That's that log, that comment that I just created. And I know it's based on a class grade because of this little A+. I can have standards comments and I can have assignment comments. They made this a little bit easier so I don't always have to click back over here. If I wanted to stay on this comment log and look at Sydney's comments, I could do that. Or maybe I don't want to look at that anymore. I want to look at their assignments. And I can see for Sydney, here's all of the assignments, where they're at, and what they've scored at each of those. Again, my gear is going to give me a whole lot of different information. I can see the overall grade. I can see there was a comment out there. So I have a lot of information there, backed by students. One of the important things on students, all right, I have somebody that went from my period 1 calculus to my period 3 calculus. It happens, and I want all those grades to transfer. Or I have somebody that came from Sally's calculus class into my calculus class. Yeah, we keep pretty close. You know, we're kind of equal with the assignments, but she might do a few things a little different than me. I do have the ability to transfer scores on a student. So Dwayne came in. I have this option here that says transfer scores. All right. I don't really have good examples right now, again, end of the year, but I can come in and I can say, well, he came from the computer graphics class, or maybe he came from the computer science principles. And I'm looking at his Q4 grades. This is all about his from. Where did he come from? Came from Sally's class, came from my period 1 class. Where is he going to? He's going to 3A calculus because that's what I have selected. What do I want to look at? I want to look at Q4. Okay, I can see the only assignment he had in Q4 was an assignment called Google Doc Classroom. Okay, maybe I just want to look at this to see what his grade was and I don't want to do anything with it, but maybe I want to transfer that. And I don't have a Google Doc questions assignment, but I'm going to say, yeah, that's really close to this. Save example 2. And I could say transfer that score over to my grade book. So I can see details. I can see what am I copying. I can see there are no standard scores. It's going to copy his A+ over to example 2. And if I say transfer the scores, now I'm going to have that there. So really helpful. Again, especially if I'm going from period 1 to period 3 of my own, or again, one class to another. If it can map, you know, my from, definitely like a period 1 to period 3, it's going to show you all of these and it's just going to transfer them all over very seamlessly. Otherwise, if it says, I've got an assignment, you don't match, you can pick an associated one that's close. Or again, you don't have to do anything. What's really nice is I can see what his grades were from the previous class. Okay. Another thing about comments, and I wanted to show this, right? I do have the ability to do a bulk comment. What is the bulk comment going to do? It's going to let me give comments to specific kids all at once. So back to the, you know, go in and put your exceptions and override. I can come in here and do it this way. So maybe I want to say, show me anyone with a grade of F. Okay, I've got Brandon, Sarah, and O'Brien. Their comment is probably going to be a little bit different than everybody else's. I know you can do better. And I can say save and close. And now those 3 students got an additional comment. So the bulk comment is fairly new. Again, I think it's pretty nice. I have a lot of different ways I can filter on that. I can do it by my groups. I can do it on percents and points, or I can do it based on the grades. And looking at my notes to see what all else we want to talk about. Your progress. Back to the grade scale and your colors. All right. I have 14 kids in my calculus class doing pretty good. I've got 9 maybe iffy. They're in probably D levels, and I have theirs are my 3 failing kids. If I click on view all, I get a very nice list. I can see there's my most at-risk kids, so below the line, above the line. They're all at Fs, and I can also see that they've gone down. You know, what happened? Sarah went from a B minus to an F. Carson went from an A to a D. If anybody went up, I would see that as well. Dwayne went from a C plus to an A. So I have a nice way to look at these for some analysis. My settings here, where do I want to compare my trends? Do I want to show empty grades or not? I can also click on these grade distribution items as well, so I can compare final grade to quarter 4. If I'm doing standards, I also have the ability to see standards that are going above and below. Okay. Reports. Reports are a lot. Some of them, like the comment verification, they're just going to do a control P and print. Some of the ones that you might use are score sheet reports, which is just going to be a detail of all of those. You know, I can say what class. I will say you probably on a lot of these want to stick to a class or a group. And then what options do I want? How do I want to sort them? Do I want only specific categories? Where do I want only Y1 grades? Do I want date ranges? I can do my kids. I can show everybody. I don't think I put a class here. Go back to my calculus class. Here's my students. I can add or remove them. I have a format. I can do landscape or PDF. In some cases, I can also export to Excel. Do I want to shade my rows? Do I want to add a note to the top of the report? Do I want to add a note to the bottom of the report? Do I want to include a signature line? You know, maybe it's for an individual kiddo and I want to print all of his assignments and grades for the 9 weeks and I want it to go home and get somebody to sign it, or I need a counselor to sign it or whatever. I can add a signature line. When I run the report, it's now going to be queued up. Notice I now have a little 1 up here. I can come up here and see it. And if I want to open it up, it's going to open that up. I think I must have set a spreadsheet. And there are my kids with their final grades and the assignments that are associated to it. Again, I don't have any grades out there right now for the term that I selected. Okay. A lot of people like the student roster report. I can change these titles to whatever I want. Maybe this is my weekly attendance report. I see this a lot in elementary schools because kiddos are not changing classes as often. I want to do it for my attendance class. Okay. I want student, I want last name, and I can pick student columns that I want to throw in here. I can say, oh, I also want to see their birthday and I want to see their home phone. I can go to contacts and I can pick up contact information if I want. I'm going to get rid of these. And I'm going to say add some blank columns up here under student. I want to add 5 blanks. And this is going to be Monday. And this will be Tuesday. and this one will be Wednesday. You get the idea. And I can come up to my students again. Do I want to add or remove my format again? Do I want landscape or portrait? And if I run this report, still running. Sorry, sing a song. While that's running, I'll talk about this other icon that I didn't really mention. Again, another way to get to observations. This will directly take you out to that same page that Sally showed you. As you're starting to do things here, I can see I did a sample observation for Isabella because that's who I was selected on. Assets and textbooks. It's a nice feature. It does require a lot of setup. Someone in the building is going to need to do that. But if you are in charge of checking in, checking out textbooks, iPads, whatever, an asset inventory can be created. Items can be barcoded. And then as I give Linda my algebra book, I can check it out and I can say what the number was. And when it's turned in, I can, what's the condition or whatever. Like I said, it is a nice feature. It does require a lot of setup. I'm going to go back to my report now. Okay, so here's my report. It's just a list of names with the fields that I picked and all those blank columns, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Some people like to use that as a physical piece of paper. They check it and then they go back and do their daily attendance or whatever they need to out of it. But that little roster report can be used for anything. Maybe you want to check, maybe there's a fundraiser going on and you need to check that they've gotten the money turned in, or it's for a field trip and you want to check that permission slips have been turned in. It's for any of those kinds of things that may be helpful to you, but it's defined by you. Okay. I know we ran about a half an hour over what we were going to do. So I want to take the last few minutes and say, are there questions? Is there anything else that I can show in the grade book? Again, make your settings. Can I create an assignment? And how do I score it? And really, it's pretty that easy. I think people are comfortable enough, if it's about students and I want to look at something, I can. Here's that quick lookup. Again, you saw this when Sally showed you the portal. The nice thing about this particular screen, it's called Quick Lookup to You. It's called Quick Lookup if your principal or counselor is looking at it. But when your kids and your parents are in the portal, it's called Grades and Attendance. But if you're having a conversation with somebody, you can bring this screen up now and know what they're talking about. If they say, I'm on the Grades and Attendance screen, you can go, okay. So back to that, the class descriptions and everything. Again, here it is, the course, whatever. And if I had those comments entered, this is where parents would see them when they drill in the information. They can now see the flags, they're seeing this, whether you've chosen to publish that assignment or not. So I have a lot of good information here. Some of the same screens here that you see in the portal, you don't always have to go to the portal. Here's historical grades, here's daily attendance. Again, some of these are customizations. If you're not seeing an attendance in your grade book, that's a customization that the district leader would need to really turn on for you. But it's another nice view. Okay, so somebody's used Progress Book for 15 years and much more detailed. Great. I'm glad. I think they did an excellent job with the grade book. And I really think if you get your setup and you can create assignments and grade it, you'll find the rest of it pretty intuitive.